Hey guys, how's it going? It's Danconia and welcome back to the Overwatch Transfer Roundup. So, the Transfer Roundup is actually absolutely stacked this week. There are tons of transfers to go through, so we're going to start off without any delay. And we're starting off in Europe at Raw Esports, where they have let go of 4 different players. This is the support from Estonia, Admiral Raptor. This is the Swedish tank Multi, if I can get there. You know, I'll try. The DPS player from Turkey, Lethal, and the great British DPS player, Ellie. Or possibly Eli, I'm not sure which one. But these players will now be unassigned and will be looking for teams. Now, moving on to the NA region, and I'm 37, the Korean DPS player, you may have heard of him before because he had a spell at Toronto Defiant last year, was at the Uprising Academy. He's now going to be inactive, I should say, at the Uprising Academy and be with World Game Star Phoenix back in Korea. So that's very, very interesting. World Game Star Phoenix really have pushed on in Season 1 of Contenders this year and have been really, really good. So that's interesting to see that happening, and I'm interested to see what is going on there. But then we have another move at World Game Star Phoenix, actually, and this is them bringing in the South Korean support player Vigilante from Botlika. Now, Botlika have disbanded, unfortunately. They had a really good run in Season 1 of Contenders, coming up all the way from Open Division, but unfortunately, they will not be competing anymore, and they've let go of their roster, and Vigilante was one of those players obviously let go, and he will now be part of WGS Phoenix, which is really, really good. That's a step up for him, and World Game Star Phoenix will be one of the bigger teams in Korea come Season 2. And staying with Korea, we are going to Runaway, because Runaway have let go of the DPS player Flower. Now, Flower, he really hasn't done anything since the World Cup in 2018 now, wasn't it? He popped off in the 2018 World Cup for South Korea. I think it was that one. And he did really, really well. Then he got signed by the NYXL's Academy at the time, the XL2 Academy, which doesn't exist anymore. Because he was too young to play in the Overwatch League. Then he got promoted to the NYXL, where he never lived up to his reputation, and then left and went to Runaway, and he's never really done anything at Runaway. I think he ended up getting dropped at Runaway as well. So, yeah, it's been a fall from grace from a player that we had some very, very high hopes for, who looked very, very good back in that World Cup. So, yeah, it's not a great look, and hopefully Flower will be able to go to a team and re-find some of that brilliant form that we've seen from him before. But now for quite a major move in Korea, actually. So we've been talking about World Game Star Phoenix and how they've been so good recently in Korea. And they've really stepped up, and they've decided to create an academy team. This will be called World Game Star Chick. And they have assigned their roster. So they've got the coach Pico, or I think that's how you say his name. It's a 1 instead of an I, so I don't know. But they've also signed the support player Faith. They've actually signed 3 tank players, IQ20, Pressure, and Afro-D. Then 3 DPS players, Sungwoo, Silhouette, and Felins. They are all South Korean, obviously. And they've also brought 2 players from 2 other teams. So this is the South Korean sport Sirius. I got there in the end for First Fabulous Fighter. First Fabulous Fighter have done pretty well in China. And then they have brought in Opal, the support player from Bravos Gaming. So there is a new offshoot of World Game Star Phoenix on the block now in World Game Star Chick, and it'll be interesting to see how they do. They're going to start off probably in Open Division of Korea for Season 2, or Season 3 of Open Division, I should say, because that will lead into Season 2 of Contenders. And we'll see if World Game Star Chick can do anywhere near what World Game Star Phoenix has done this season. I think you can clearly see that World Game Star Phoenix want to create a dynasty, maybe? If that's the right word, I don't know, but they want to really cement themselves as one of the bigger teams in Korea now. But moving away from Korea for the minute, and we're moving to NA. This is going to Triumph, where we see the Scottish support player Cronus has left Triumph and is going to retire from Overwatch. This is, again, unfortunate. We don't like to see retirements, but there's a lot of movements in this video and not too many retirements, so we can look back at that as good, but I wish Cronus all the best for the future. And moving to EU and Angry Titans, and the Chinese support player Haruhi will also be leaving them. He will be no longer assigned. He's not retiring, but he is no longer assigned. Also in Europe, we have the Portuguese manager of of Chaos Insurgency, Yuffie, he will be moving to Dreadlords. So that'll be interesting, and I'm not sure what the situation is at Chaos Insurgency. But moving to NA, and two actually well-known names from Second Wind will be leaving the team. This is the DPS player Speedily and the support player Ultraviolet. They are both leaving Second Wind and will no longer be assigned. So Second Wind are probably going to do a little bit of rebuilding, considering half of their roster is now at the Vancouver Titans. So yeah, there's going to be some rebuilding going on in NA now. Obviously, there's a lot of transfers going on because the Contenders season has ended, and a lot of people are chicken about their roster. But sticking with things in NA, IQB, who is a coach from Pakistan, he was assistant coach for Sky Foxes and head coach for Chaos Insurgency. He will be leaving those roles and becoming head coach of Malibu in NA Contenders. Malibu were in NA Trials last time I looked in week 4. So I'm sure Malibu are going to try and push on and try and get some Contenders spots going, and we'll see how they do. Also moves back in Korea with GC Busan Wave, who have acquired the DPS player Sparrow, the Korean DPS player Sparrow, from Top Honor. Now, Top Honor, they're still going, and I want to see Top Honor do well. Another team that has come through the lower parts of the Korean ladder, and they've done really, really well this season. So, yeah, I hope Top Honor do well. But obviously, Sparrow's caught an eye at GC Busan Wave, and will be applying his trade there for Season 2. But Far, the American DPS player, this is not going to a team, but he was retired and has come out of retirement and is now looking for options. So that's good. Nice to hear someone that's coming out of retirement. It's not always brilliant news when we talk about retirements, but it's nice to talk about people who come out of retirement for once. Right. The American tank player Gale will be leaving Noble and will no longer be assigned. Again, this is another move that is, jigging about rosters at the end of the Contenders season. Noble didn't get as far as they wanted to be, but they did get to the playoffs, but got knocked out at the first round, I believe. But they did have to go through that qualifying round where we saw something like stupid, like 5 or 6 teams a level, and they had to do a playoff. But moving back, we're moving to the Pacific now, where we go to Talon Esports. Now, this is rather interesting. Talon Esports have been the dominant force in the Pacific, haven't they? A lot of the time, and we've always wondered who's going to stop this team. Well, it looks like they're going to do a little bit of rebuilding because they've let go of 3 players. This is the support player Dotori, the tank player WWY, and the DPS player Dakul. So this is interesting. This is interesting that Talon have decided to let go of some of these players. Some of these players that have been part of their roster for a while now. They only have a 4-man roster as it stands. So a tiny little bit of a rebuild going on at Talon. And it'll be interesting to see if they keep up the amazing form that they have shown in the past year or so, going back to previous Contender seasons, because they have been so good recently. And yes, we'll see if they can stay at the top of the Pacific. We're staying with the Pacific, and this is the news that Electric Gaming would obviously be disbanding. This is them letting go of their roster. So this is the manager Gukbin, the support Misha, the tanks Vila and Badak, and the DPS players Fumi and Hua Rang will be leaving Electric Gaming, obviously, and be looking for the team to do or to apply their trade with, shall we say. None of them are retiring, so that's really good. But yeah, another team obviously disbanding at the end of a Contender season. We see it every so often, and I wish them all the best for the future. But moving to the Overwatch League. Oh yes, the Overwatch League. Who'd forgotten? Kevster, the Swedish DPS player, fantastic DPS player Kevster is. And he has found a place in the Overwatch League. He was with Team Doge. Before that, Team Doge was Team Envious. I'm sure you will know. He's had a fantastic Contenders season. He is a Contenders NA Season 1 of 2020 winner with Team Doge. And he has been picked up by the Los Angeles Gladiators. So he is most likely going to pair Birdring at the Gladiators, I would imagine. I wouldn't imagine he's going to oust out Birdring. And a Kevster Birdring DPS line for the Gladiators. Oh, that's looking spicy once that gets going together. So I'll be interested to see how that works, but I think he's definitely an improvement, and I expect him to start over Mirror and Jaru, not Birdring. So yeah, definitely an improvement for the Gladiators right there. But another move at Raw Esports sees the German coach Duke leave the team and be looking for another team to join. Also, going back to Korea, more people being acquired at GC Busan Wave, I should say. This is the tank Zephyr. I'm sure you've heard of Zephyr from his time at the Florida Mayhem. He was with the Team Top Honor, and he will now be with GC Busan Wave. GC Busan Wave have had a real rough time this season, and they want to rebuild and try and get back to being one of the better teams in Korea, and this is their steps to do that. They've also acquired the Korean DPS player Snake from Far East Society. Far East Society are the second best team in the Pacific, just behind Talon Esports. It was between them and Far East Society this season, and Snake is obviously going to be a big part of that, and GC Busan Wave have been like, we need a good DPS player, so we're going to yoink him from Far East Society. I can't say I blame them. But moving back to NA, and the American support player Dino will be leaving Square One and retiring from Overwatch. Again, it's not nice to be talking about retirements, but you know, it comes along every so often, and so we have to talk about it. But yeah, that's the way things go. But moving on to, well, back to Korea, and this is obviously 2 more people being let go of Bootlicker, who have obviously disbanded. This is a support player, Crowrong. It's 2 zeros. It's really weird. Crowrong I'm going to go with. And the DPS player Feather. They are both leaving Bootlicker and obviously will be no longer assigned. Then we have a retirement in Brazil at Warpigs. This is the Brazilian coach Gatti, so he will be retiring. Again, it's sad to see, but it does happen, and I wish him all the best for the future. But now we move back to the Overwatch League and moves at the Hangzhou Spark. So, we've long been, or I have been long wondering about the situation with the Chinese DPS player Crystal at the Hangzhou Spark. He was inactive because of, should we say, disciplinary issues going back to last season. He was actually a really good DPS player as well. It's a shame to see him go, but as I've just said, he's gone from the Hangzhou Spark now. He will no longer be part of that team and will be unassigned. Whether he will get another team or not, considering he hasn't played competitive Overwatch or esports Overwatch for months and months, well over half a year, nearly a year now probably. Yeah, I don't know whether he's going to just retire. I don't know what's going to happen there, but this has freed up some space for the Hangzhou Spark. This means that they bring in QOQ. This is a off-tank player from actually T1, but before T1 he was with Runaway. He is a Contenders career winner with Runaway, and QOQ is a bloomin' good off-tank, and I think this is a great pickup for Hangzhou Spark. Unfortunately, this does have a trade-off. This means that their other off-tank player, Rhea, will be going inactive for the Spark. I believe he has got medical issues, so he's not gone from the team, but he will be inactive. This means that QOQ will be the main off-tank, if that makes any sense. It will be the off-tank which will be featuring for the Hangzhou Spark in the future, and we have seen him against the NYXL this weekend. And boy oh boy, was that a good game. But yeah, I think QOQ is a fantastic signing for the Hangzhou Spark. I really believe QOQ is a really good player, and I think he showed that against the NYXL. And what this means for Assassin is he can go back to his DPS role, which I'm sure he's pretty happy about. But moving back over to the Pacific, and this is some very, very interesting news. So, Far East Society, I said, were the second best team in Pacific, right? Well, they've straight up gone and released all their players. So this is the 2 support players, Bubbly and Rupa, both from South Korea. The 3 South Korean tank players, Mingi, I think, Woomin and Flawless, and then 2 South Korean DPS players, Abby and Priest, and then a Vietnamese support player, Red Neville. They will all be leaving Far East Society and be unassigned. So this is an interesting move from Far East Society. Obviously not content with what's happening. They haven't disbanded from what I know. So there's stuff going on at Far East Society. We'll have to keep an eye on that in future transfer roundups. But moving back to the Overwatch League, and this one's an interesting one. So Dallas Fuel have signed the Norwegian DPS player Onigod. So this is interesting. Onigod, again, a really, really good player. Again, coming from Team Doge and Team Envious before that. Very similar story to Kevster. And I find this weird because not from a Dallas Fuel point of view. Of course, you want a stacked roster as much as you can. But I find it weird from an Onigod point of view. Now, I'm assuming he didn't get any other offers from any other teams, because why would you join a team that has Decay in Doha? That is the question I'm asking here. So, yeah, it could be interesting. Maybe if Dallas Fuel want to run double hit scan, they'll play Onigod and Decay, which could be lethal, I'm not going to lie. I'm very interested though. I'm glad Onigod gets his chance, because there's players like Kevster and Onigod that I believed that have needed a chance for quite a while and we haven't seen had their chance. And some players, there are a few, have not had their chance and have now moved away from Overwatch and retired, which is really, really depressing in some respects. So I'm glad these guys are getting their chance. But sticking with Norway, and this is another Norwegian DPS player tracked, he'll be leaving Square One and will be no longer assigned. I hope he finds another team soon. Sticking with the Overwatch League though, remember Stratus? Yes, Stratus, the DPS player. He obviously left, well, he didn't leave the Washington Justice, he changed roles. He was no longer a player and became a content creator. Well, he's no longer affiliated with the Washington Justice anymore. He's just gone. So, yeah, I wonder how this came about. I do wonder how this came about. Washington Justice have not been exactly nice to their non-Korean people, staff, players recently. So yeah, this is, I hope it was on good terms and it was Stratus who wanted to leave or something like that. I hope they just didn't say, well, we don't want you anymore, off you go. So yeah, it's a shame and I wish Stratus all the best in his content creation days free of the Washington Justice's clutches. But moving back to Team Doge, and this is the news that the Icelandic tank player Finzi, who we've all heard of before, I'm sure, he will be leaving Team Doge and will no longer be assigned. So half of Team Doge's Contenders winning team is gone now, which is, yeah, it's, isn't it? We'll see if Team Doge can rebuild this team or whether they might try and disband and spread out. I don't know what will happen, but yeah, it's a shame to see this team split up because it was a very good team. But sticking with NA Contenders, and this will be at Second Wind, and Frill, the tank player, he'll be leaving Second Wind and will no longer be assigned. Again, a little bit of a rebuild going on at Second Wind, and it'll be interesting to see what they come out with in the future. Back to the Overwatch League. Actually, the Overwatch League will round us out for this video for the next 3 ones. So, this means we will be going to the Toronto Defiant. Remember Zik? We talked about Zik being picked up, the French DPS player, by the Toronto Defiant on a 14-day contract before the start of the main melee. Well, he has had his contract made permanent by the Toronto Defiant, and therefore will be at the Toronto Defiant for the rest of the season, which I think is a great result for him, especially considering his performances. I don't want to be harsh, but he wasn't fantastic, you know. But yeah, it's a good pickup for Toronto Defiant, and it increases their squad depth, which I think will be very good for them. Moving to the Washington Justice once again, though, and they've picked up a new assistant coach because they promoted Supreme, their assistant coach, to head coach, I believe. So they needed a new assistant coach, and they have brought in a coach from O2 Blast. This is Chilhua, and he will be now the assistant coach for the Washington Justice. We will see if they can give this Washington Justice team some guidance, because I believe, well, I think we know that this Washington Justice team has quite a few good parts to it these days. It's just, it looks a very lost team. It's a shame, isn't it? But I am going to round this out with the great news that XZ, the South Korean DPS player for the Paris Eternal, is no longer inactive and back with the team. Oh, brilliant. I've missed this player since he was back at homestands, wasn't he? And he was so good. So good. He was a hard carry for the Paris Eternal early in the season. And yes, this has been recorded after the San Francisco Shock match. Oof, I know. But it's not XC's fault. XC played well on that match, that's all I'll say. But yeah, a tough match to come back to, XC, wasn't it? Sparkle actually let them down on that one, which is unfortunate. But I'm going to leave it here for this one. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.